Good morning. Everyone around the world recently has been very concerned about the impact of the novel coronavirus. Since the Movement Control Order, also known as MCO, is a current sanitary implemented as a preventive measure by the federal government of Malaysia in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in the country on 18 March 2020 and on the 4th May of 2020. The Conditional Movement Control Order was implemented. The term COVID-19 is the acronym for CO, which stands for Corona, VI for virus, and D for disease. COVID-19 is an infection disease caused by a newly discovered strain of coronavirus. This is a type of virus known to cause respiratory infections in humans. There are a number of people who were affected since the partial lockdown, which includes students also. I'm Kirtana and you're watching Students Chat Vibe. And in this episode, we'll be talking about the impact of MCO over student. To better understand this event, we'll be talking to Sugin and Pavitran, who are the students from Malaysia University Science of Technology, and another two students who are currently back in their hometown due to the outbreak. Finally, for a perspective from an academic student, we also have Vashni on our show. We are going to start with Pavitran. Good morning, Pavitran. How are you?
Good morning, Kirtana. I'm fine, Kirtana. How about you, Kirtana?
I'm fine, thank you, Pavitran. Okay, let me ask the question. Tell us what you did during this MCU.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say thanks for inviting me for this talk show. Okay, due to the MCO, currently my semester is conducting through online. So my classes begins from Tuesday to Saturday, which means 5 days I'm packed with my online classes. On the remaining 2 days, which are on Mondays and Sundays, I'm busy doing assignments. Apart from major assignments, I will be also assessments or exercises which I need to submit within 1 week from the given date. Therefore, I'm busy. I'm spend most of the time doing assignments. Since e-learning, which or is known as online learning, since e-learning, I have bundle of assignments compared to previous semesters, which is face-to-face classes.
Okay, that's a lot you have been doing. Sounds good. Okay, what about Suki?
Yeah, hi Kirtana.
Hi, Suki.
Okay. During MCO, my daily routine is to wake up at 8 in the morning, and then I will attend the online classes. And after my online classes is finished, I will spend some times to play online games. But to be honest, at the first, the online class was damn hard because we have to log in into Google, and then have to log in into Microsoft, and then have to download MS Team and so on. This is my first sem, so I asked help from my friends and contact MUST IT department. So they helped me and solved the problem. And at night I will do my assignments, and this was my daily routine.
Okay, Suki. Okay, thank you, Suki. So, how are the two of you feeling during this MCU?
Okay, well, as all of you guess, it was boring and annoying because the times goes very slow than the normal days, and the situation get worse when my phone have unstable connection. Why this is worse? Because the only entertainment and time pass is my phone during this MCO. But however, I still survive being boring and lazy.
Okay, Suki. So, how about Pavitran?
Okay, how I felt during the MCU. Okay, firstly, I feel so stressed because, as I mentioned in the first question, I have a lot of assignments and assessments compared to previous semester. So I feel so stressed with my assignments. Besides that, I feel headache. It's because spending more time in front of laptop. It affects my health, and I also have migraine. Furthermore, as other the tertiary students, I feel so nervous when it comes to online exams. Not only for me, it's mostly the students feel the same. It's because this is the first time we are doing exam in online. Somehow, I also feel relaxed with the online exam, it's because online exam is known as open book text, which means I can refer to Google slides, and even I can refer to my notes during the exams.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, how are you surviving during this phase? Are there any new skill or activity that were discovered?
Okay. During MCO, everyone advised to be at home. Same goes to me. I'm at home, and besides studying, I started keeping up daily news. Started keeping up with daily news updating about COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. Later on, after a few weeks, maybe around 2 to 3 weeks, it became a habit for me to read the news either in newspapers or in social media. For example, I've liked the official pages in Facebook, such as Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, Star Newspaper, New Straight Times, and Aryan Metro. It's really helpful to enhance my vocabulary. I acquire more knowledge as well, and I'm aware of what's happening around the world.
Okay. All right. One last question to the two of you. What will you not take for granted from the experience of the MCO?
Okay, during this MCO, I learned about things too. And at one point of time, I realized that my family is very important than anyone else in this world. Our jobs, money, and outdoor entertainment really give us happiness, but this all is temporary. That's all. Thank you.
So, how about you?
Pavi bro, sorry bro. Please on your mic, please. Sorry.
I'm really sorry, Kirtana. Can you repeat me the question? I'm really sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay. All right. One last question to the two of
Yeah.
you. What will not take for granted from the experience of the MCO?
Okay, for this question, Sugin already answered, is it?
Yeah, he answered
Yeah,
it.
okay. The lesson I learned from the MCO is to appreciate the freedom that we have. I'm really stressed when unable to move around freely. According to Boris Yeltsin, who is the former Russian president, we don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. As he said, I really miss the freedom that I had before the movement control order. In addition, as my friend Sujan said, according to Director General of Ministry of Health, Dr. Noor Isham Abdullah, home and family are the safest place in the world. That's all. Thank you. So sorry for the
Thank you for
interruptions.
okay. Thank you for sharing your experience with us, Pavitra and Sugay. So now we have two students who are back in Pahang and Kedah, who also want to share their insight of today's discussion. Let us speak to them. Good morning, Fadlullah. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good and still staying at home.
Okay. Um, let me ask the question. If you were compare a face-to-face lecture and virtual lecture, which do you prefer and why?
To compare face-to-face lecture between virtual lecture, all students have their different opinion. For me, I more prefer to have face-to-face lecturers than virtual lecturers. It is because when you are in face-to-face classes, you'll be able to concentrate harder on your learning. There'll be less distraction when if you were at home. I give you one example that I think most of us had through this situation. When you are having online lectures at home, sometimes your mom will may ask for your help to doing something, like to help her carry something, help her to buy onion at the supermarket, and so on. This is the simple example distraction that may have at your home. Besides that, kita know why I prefer more face-to-face classes between virtual classes is you may feel more comfortable and learn more easily in a familiar traditional classroom situation. In your classroom, you have whiteboard that will help your lecturers to explain easily what the thing that the student doesn't understand. It is nice to have teacher in front of you teaching you the lesson. You sort of just have to listen and take in the information. This kind of traditional classroom helps students to learn and understand easily what the lecturer want to talk about. Last but not least, the reason I not prefer to have virtual classes is I had a problem of internet connectivity. That hard for me to stay online while lecturer is having online classes. Sometimes there is sound breaking problem, lost internet connection, This will make you lost and miss the important information what the lecturer want to give. So that was kind of frustrating for me. By the way, I not say online classes is not good, but for me, I more prefer face-to-face classes than virtual classes. That's all from me, Kitana. Thank you for inviting me in this talk show.
That's a good point. That's a good point you have, Fatrullah.
Yeah, thank you.
What about you, Sydney?
Hello, Kitana. Good morning.
Morning.
And hello, everyone. Thank you all for having me here. First of all, I am 100% agree with Fadullah's opinion about the face-to-face learning, and I have nothing against him. So, as we all know, the face-to-face learning, or we can call it traditional classroom, is way more effective than the virtual learning. But there are some advantages that most of students did not realize inside the virtual learning. Before I'm start about the advantage, I want to share the definition of virtual learning. Virtual learning is a learning experience that is enhanced through utilizing computers and the internet, both outside or inside the facilities of the educational organization. The instruction most commonly take place in online environment. In simple words, we can call it online classes. So the advantage of the online classes, firstly, it will enable students to access to coursework from anywhere at any time. Coursework 24 hours, 7 days per week from anywhere at any time will suit students' busy schedule. I will relate this situation to myself because I don't have any girl siblings in my family who probably shall help my mother do the housework. So it comes to my responsibilities to help her with all the housework such as tidying, washing clothes, and some other things. So apparently, visual learning helped me give some time availability to complete any task given by the lecturer. Moving on, secondly, virtual learning will help students in sharpen their digital skills. While students increase their knowledge and skills in area of study, they will also be sharpen their digital skills on the most sophisticated online learning technology. Students will become confident and highly productive using interactive online tools such as online tests, email communication, and video presentation by the faculty. So students would not be surprised to use the latest technology in the future. Overall, face-to-face learning is more effective if to compare with virtual learning, but both of the ways of learning can be effective as well if students make the full use of it. So that's all I want to share with you guys. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you, Zulhimi. It's true. I agree with your point and Fatla's point. Okay, we have another student here from the Economic Faculty of University Malaya who has a take about this outbreak. Okay, yes, Bosch, welcome to our talk show and thank you for being able to spare some time with us.
Good morning, Kirtana. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Okay, so could you explain about how this virus was even detected in our country?
Okay, well, the first case of COVID-19 in Malaysia was detected on the 24th of January 2020, and both our Malaysian Health Ministry collaborated with the World Health Organization to overcome this entire situation. This collaboration had 3 stages. So firstly, they shared technical guidance on critical response actions, which included both clinical and public health system screening. Then they also maintained and enhanced infection prevention and control. Lastly, they communicated and engaged with the public on how to protect themselves and others against this pandemic.
Okay, Wash. Okay, wow, that's great, Wash. In your opinion, how is our country dealing with this outbreak?
Okay, as of Saturday, our country is at the 62nd place and had reported 8,303 cases of the novel coronavirus and 117 deaths, putting it just behind Norway. Just looking at how Malaysia is responding to COVID-19 and how well we are doing to maintain the spread of this virus, I'll say that we are doing an amazing job, to keep the public informed, and it really shows just how well Malaysia has embraced these kinds of ideas. On top of that, our government has a text messaging system set up to update about the country's movement control order, which is the messages that we usually get from MKN every now and then. With this, I'm pretty sure that it helps the public to be aware of what is actually happening around us.
Okay. How do you think our lives will be when the Conditional Movement Control Order (CMCO) is lifted?
Okay, well, I guess we all need to be well prepared for that day when life starts to return to the new normal. Malaysians may be thinking that the danger is now past us and we can go back to doing what we normally do and we can start traveling or whatever we want, right? But according to the Ministry of Health, we mustn't do that. While the number of daily confirmed cases and deaths are low for now, and we have a good chance of flattening the curve, it doesn't really mean that the deadly virus isn't able to make an appearance once more. With that being said, I have a few things that we need to remember not to do even after the CMCO is lifted, especially if you are living in a condo or apartment, like most students who live in hostels. As we are owing to the large number of people living together in the same building complex, it's incredibly important to keep ourselves and the people around us safe. So I think that the joint management body of every condominium and apartments plays a very important role here. Firstly, they should avoid residents from getting into crowded lifts, as it's wise for residents to follow the number that has already been set. Next, kids shouldn't visit the playground because if they do, they will be touching the surfaces of the playground and then touching their face, which is not hygienic at all. And there is a tendency for them to be infected by the virus again, and as their antibodies are not strong either. Besides that, we mustn't have visitors over at our place. Well, since most of us miss hosting and getting people into our house by just mingling around with our friends and family, we may not we may tend to invite them over after the CMCO is lifted, but they may not be sickly and could be asymptomatic carriers of the virus. So in this case, we might not know whether they are infected by the virus or not. Next, we should avoid parties and gatherings because it actually increases the risk of an infection with the number of gases packed into a compact space. So that's all from me. Thank you.
So that is all we have to bring to you in this episode of Students Chat Vibe. We hope to have been able to share and speak on behalf of other students. Thank you everyone for tuning in. See you in the next episode. Until then, goodbye.
Thank you, Kirtana.
Thank you, Kirtana. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye, Kitana.